Welcome back. Today, we're focusing on ways to improve the use of forage in a cattle operation. And Dave, I want to begin with you. What can growing more forage mean to a producer?
Well, in a single word, it's flexibility. Producing more forage allows you to either stock more cattle, which will help in expansion. It can certainly help you plan for drought. The more forage you have on your ranch or in your pastures, when it gets a little bit dry, allows you to kind of spread out the grazing a little bit and keep the cattle on your particular pastures. So flexibility to me is the key component of what extra forage means.
And Bill, my perception is that growing forage is not as challenging to you as it may be to Sims, just by virtue of the amount of rain you get. What are the benefits you see in growing a lot of forage in your operation?
Well, I mean, it's all the things that Dave said, quite frankly. But for us specifically, it allows us to expand the herd, and it allows us to backlot more heifers and enhance our contained cattle herd, which we like to do. And it allows us to keep the most productive animals on the ranch.
And what practices or tools do you rely on most heavily in maximizing forage production?
Number one for us is weed control. We have to have great weed control so that the grasses that we overseed with, which we do spring and fall, can thrive.
And Sims, I would ask you that also from a producer perspective. What tools and practices do you rely on most?
Our most important tool is our rotational grazing. In our drought area, it seems like we're always either in a drought or coming out of one. Continuously watching the cattle and watching them move through the pastures and leaving enough forage to come back to for the next drought is our most important tool.
And Pat, as producers begin implementing or desiring to implement some weed and brush control programs, where do they begin?
Well, I think the most important part is just to assess what is your current situation. What are the type of weed pressure or brush pressures that you're dealing with? If you look at Bill's situation where he acquired a piece of land that was neglected, you have to really start from a standpoint of controlling kind of a broad spectrum of different weed and brush problems to get your area back in, or your pastures back into production. And so just scouting and assessing what is the situation that we're currently in. What do we currently have out there? And what are our management goals? What do we want to shift it to?
All these products that you all have listed behind you and all the others from competitors, it can be kind of intimidating selecting the right product. What would you tell producers from that regard?
Well, from that regard, I think you work with your distributors and with our range and pasture specialists. They can help you identify what are the problems, what combinations may need to be put together. And then as you adjust your program, as you move further and further along, those input costs become less because you're now managing a good forage production so that it actually resists weed invasion. So you're maintaining a healthy forage, and it's less inputs to accomplish that.
Very good advice. And remember, if you'd like more information about any of our discussion topics today, you can visit the website rangeandpasture.com.